Hi, I'm Gareth. I'm here from Roland UK for DV247 and I'm showing the new Roland Jupiter-50. I showed you the Jupiter-80 just now. The difference between the 50 and the 80 is not that great, to be honest. They're both amazing keyboards. It's a sleeker version of the Jupiter-80, quite a bit lighter. Still got 76 keys. I've still got exactly the same synth tones that I have on the Jupiter-80, all 1900 plus of them, and the same acoustic tones with acoustic modeling, behavior modeling, and analog modeling. The difference between the Jupiter-80 and the Jupiter-50, as far as what we can see here, is that we're running on 6 parts as opposed to 10 parts with the Jupiter-80. That's 6 different instruments at a time. So we're still running 18 oscillators with those 6 different instruments. My upper live set is exactly the same as it is on the Jupiter-80. The difference being the lower percussion and lower tone is now one voice, and my solo, which is still one voice. So I get 1, 2, and 4, 6 different voices. The other main difference that you can see here is the screen. It's not a touch screen, it's a very clear screen, and it's very easy to get around the screen as well. So yes, we have 4 sounds on the upper, 1 sound on the solo, and the percussion stroke lower is my 6th sound. I now have 3 sliders instead of 4 sliders, but when it comes to my tone editing, that makes life easier as well, because it's just running the 3 separate oscillators at a time. There is a difference on the bank registration as well. I have 128 registrations as opposed to 256. My polyphony is cut down to 128 from 256, but as I'm running 6 parts now instead of 10, that shouldn't make much difference. And instead of having my control knobs at the front, I've now got the 2 controllers up here for my cutoff and resonance, etc. We have exactly the same tones on the Jupiter-50 as you have on the Jupiter-80. Therefore, and the output system with the amplifier, everything is exactly the same. So the quality is no different at all to the Jupiter-80. And you still get that great bottom end and top end. In fact, to show you that even more, this is the bass sound that I just showed from the version 2 software on the Jupiter-80, and it's exactly the same. There's a great mixture of sounds on here. Now, the main thing that we have to notice is the fact that the multi-effects section on the Jupiter-50 is the multi-effects section from the Jupiter-80. That's the new version 2, running all the effects in serial as well as parallel. And the synth tones, if I click on my shift button and my piano, I have very quick edit points for all the different synth tones, the partials on the Jupiter-50. I have all the low-pass filters from the version 2 upgrade of the Jupiter-80. Therefore, I have the Jupiter-80 low-pass filter, the Jupiter-8 low-pass filter, the Moog low-pass filter, and sequential circuits Prophet 5. Also with the Jupiter-50, the Arpeggiator is the same. I still have the Harmony Intelligence. I still have exactly the same shortcuts to run through all these different areas on the keyboard. The only difference is basically with my Arpeggiator, I still have 128 preset arpeggios with the variations and things, but I basically have less area to store those arpeggios. The main thing about the screen on the Jupiter-50 is that because we have the iPad connectivity through the USB socket on the back, I can still do all my tone editing via the iPad, seeing it in a full color screen exactly the same as I would on the Jupiter-80. So it will sit quite nicely on the side here, and I can do all my tone editing without having to move around the screen should I not want to. The only difference between the Jupiter-80 as far as these buttons are controlled here is basically we have a manual button, and what that allows me to do is do an instant layering of the upper live set and the lower. So I can just hit the button while the manual button's on, and it gives me a nice also on the Jupiter-50, as with the Jupiter-80, we have single part play, which allows me to go through every single live set, which is in the region of 2,500 on board. So it allows me to go through every single live set to audition each one. I still have the 76 multi-effects that I have on the Jupiter-80. In fact, nothing's changed as far as the effects section is concerned. And should I want to just quickly go through each individual sound, I still have the ability of just double-clicking on the instrument, and then I get, for instance, this is the piano. I get all the different piano sounds and all the electric piano sounds, etc., and running through each one in turn. My song player is the same as before, with very phrase on it, where I can actually, speed up a piece of music without changing the pitch, or change the pitch without speeding and slowing it down. We also have the same controller 1 and controller 2 pedal, so I can use it, for instance, doing all my behavior modeling. I can send whichever controls I want to the pedals, and I still have switches 1 and 2 on the keyboard.